this is Laura Alford from Engine 101, and today I did not get through the entire practice exercise of turning the isPalindrome function into a whole set of unit tests and showing how to use assert and all of that, so let's try that again. I'm here in my house sitting on a kid's chair making this video, so let's get started. All right, here's the isPalindrome exercise that we saw in class. And we look at this and we talked about how we were to go through to check for a string and see if it's the same forward as it is backward. And we talked about how there were a lot of different ways to do that, but here's one way, which is to think of that string as a series of characters. And we would look at the first index and we look at the last index. We would get those characters and we would compare the letters. And if the letters were not the same, then we would say, nope, that is not a palindrome, and so we would return false out of the function. Otherwise, we would move the indices to the next letters in, and we would check those letters. And we would continue doing that while the indices don't match. Okay. So here on the slides, we have the code implementation of this algorithm. So we pass in the string, we set the indices on the outside, and then we check and we compare and we kind of move in and stuff. And if we find a pair of characters that does not match, then we do that early return. We return false immediately out of the function. And then if we make it all the way through, then it must be palindrome. And so we return true. Okay. So that's all well and good. And so you can see how this works in terms of code. So here it is in VS Code. We've got it written up here, and I need a terminal here. So here we go, get in the terminal. All right, and to compile, we do G++, rather palindrome dot, oops, spell it right, dot, come on, dot CPP, and we'll save the executable as palindrome. Okay, all right, no compiler errors, so we'll run this and see what happens. All right, so it says that race car is a palindrome, that's what the one means, it means true, and it says that hello is not a palindrome, and we know that both of those are true, so well enough as it goes. Now, going back to the solution here. So we've got a couple of test cases, but that's probably really not enough in order to make sure that this function is doing what we need to make sure that we do. So we're going to upgrade our code here to use unit tests with assertions to check whether or not this function is working correctly. And the idea behind this is that you're also going to do this for project 5. So that's why I really wanted to redo this in a video so that you can see it without me having to rush. So the assert function, which we used way back in project 2 with MATLAB, works the same way in C++. It checks for something, and if it's true, then it continues on with the code. Otherwise, it stops the program immediately and says, hey, this test case doesn't work. So you can go find that test case, go back and figure out why your function is not giving you the answer that you expect. All right, so here's a bunch of different ways to actually type up assert in here. So what we're going to do is we're going to show how to take the unit testing, and we're actually going to move the test to a separate file, because you can imagine that the unit tests aren't sort of the end goal of using this function. They're a way to get the function working correctly, and then you use it off in your other engineering problem solving. So we'll put the unit test in a separate file, and then keep all that stuff there, and then that way we leave our main kind of palindrome file for doing this other stuff. So what we're going to do is we're going to go in and make a new file called palindrome unit test.cpp, and we'll move some stuff around and show how to link all this stuff together using the compiler there. So let's try to do that. All right, so here is the palindrome function as it is right now. And so I'm going to make a new file here. And I'm going to save it as palindrome unit test.cpp. I got them all in the same directory here. All right, and now I really hate to retype code. So I'm going to get my scaffolding, which is the includes and using namespace here. And then I know I'm going to leave, so the isPalindrome function will stay here in palindrome.cpp, and instead I'm going to get this main function, and I'm going to copy that first of all, and I'm going to put it into the unit test, and then I'll save. And then I'm going to go back to palindrome and actually delete all that stuff. So the palindrome.cpp file now just has the includes, and it has the isPalindrome function, and that's it. That's okay. I promise. I'll show you how it works. All right, so I'm going to save this and then go back to the unit tests here. And it says oh no, it's got an error. It says identifier isPalindrome is undefined. I don't know what this is. Right, we have to tell you that that is a function. So we need to put in the function prototype for isPalindrome. So I'm going to go over and copy the header part from here, from the file, and then I'm going to paste it here, and then the function prototype now does need a semicolon at the end. So this now will tell the compiler, oops, about the isPalindrome function. So now the compiler knows about it, and notice that the little squiggly mark underneath isPalindrome went away. So it's like, aha, I get it now. That is a function I'm supposed to be looking out for. All right. So we've got this, and then now we want to, again, update all of those unit tests. So we're going to change up some of this stuff. I'm going to go back over here and say, what am I supposed to do? We're going to get some of these tests instead. All right, so we're going to add these more thorough tests. We've got, first we have assert with the race car and hello, which is what we had before. So we're just going to take this, we're going to redo this a little bit. So we're going to do assert. Okay, go. isPalindrome. And the first one here is race car. And we know if that one comes back as true, oh wait, I need to include C assert. Almost forgot. Okay. Now, hopefully this will go away. Maybe my VS Code's been a little bit weird. We'll see what happens with this. Okay, so going back to the main function here. Okay, so I just said int main and then right into the assert. So we've got assert and with race car, and then we'll do one with, oops, back. Okay, apparently we're indenting that much. That's fine. Okay, and then now for calling isPalindrome with hello. Now hello, if we've done it right, isPalindrome hello will come back as false. But that's actually the correct answer. So to get assert to be happy, we will put not in front of it. Listen. And so that's sort of the, like the negative case, if you will. So we've got positive case. Okay. And we have negative case. Now we look at that, and both of those happen to be odd lengths. So there's an odd number of letters. So we should really check something else, an even length word string for a palindrome. So we can do palindrome, and we really just need an even number of letters in a string. It doesn't actually have to be a word. It could just be something that is a palindrome. So A, B, C, C, B, A should be a palindrome. Okay? That, like I said, as long as the function doesn't really care, right? So this is even length, right? And then there's another one that we really ought to watch out for, which is an empty string, rather. Right, so an empty string has no characters in it, but isPalindrome should come back as a positive for that. It should come back as true. So we want to make sure that that works. Okay, so we've got all this. All right. Now, like I said, I'm not sure about the squiggles. I think that just might be VS Code maybe being strange. I'm not sure. I hope I don't have my settings screwed up. All right, so we have the unit test. Palindrome is over here. Now to compile, we will need to tell the compiler that we want to use both of these files. So we're going to do, hey compiler, right, start that, and we want to do both palindrome.cpp and also the palindrome unit tests.cpp. Okay, and then we're going to save this at palindrome, and I want to save it as the unit test, not the palindrome that we did before, because this is different. Okay, let's see if this works. Oh no, we've got some errors. Okay, it says, oh no, I'm looking for unterminated. Okay, whoa, we're listing some stuff. Oh, I'm missing parenthesis there and also there. Okay, let's try this again. Okay, oops, here, I'm going to clear so I can see what I'm doing here. Okay, let's try to recompile. Okay, all right, so if we do / and we're going to run the unit test now. So palindrome unit test. I'm hitting tab, by the way, for the autocomplete. All right, so it says, Assertion failed, A, B, C, C, B, A. So something about that one is not giving us the correct answer. So we're looking at like abort, trap, and all stuff. That part, if it's not making sense to you, that's totally fine. It's mostly going, we know which test case it is not working on. We say, wait a minute, what is wrong with this one? And we go back up and we say, okay, so race car works and hello works. There's something about it being an even number here. So we go back and we look at the code. We look at this and we say, okay, all right, so we're starting with left and right, and we're checking, so for A, B, C, C, B, A, so we've got A, B, C, C, B, A, and then, so we're checking the A's, and then the B's, and then the C's, and then the next one, we're just checking for left not equal to right. So as we go through on an even number, we reach to the middle, and these just swap over, and it keeps going all the way along. That's not the behavior that we want. So what we really need to do is take this left not equal to right, and we want it to be while left is less than right. So they will go do, 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 and as soon as they swap places, that will fail. The while loop condition rather will turn false, and then the loop will exit. So let's see if this works better now. So I'm going to save Palindrome. The unit test, you can go back and resave, but we didn't change anything, so that should be all right. So we're going to go down here and remember to recompile. Okay, recompile. Still worked, thank goodness. And then we'll rerun it, and nothing came out. Everything passed. Okay. And so you can go into the unit test function here, the main function here, and you can do cout, and you can do all tests passed. Okay. So you can send yourself a little message if you made it past all the unit tests. Here. That way we sort of recognize that, okay, make sure we know what we're doing here. All right, dun, dun, dun. All right, all tests passed. Okay. So again, this is showing how we've got the function in one file and we've got unit tests in another, and then you could make a different file that actually had like additional things where you're actually processing stuff about palindromes. So that's that. Okay, so this is the unit testing. So now we have, this is just sort of recapping, going back to the solution slides. We looked at this. We saw how we used the unit tests with these different things that we were checking for to make sure the function worked right, and we found out that it didn't, and we found out our bug, which is about how the indexing goes, and it skipped over and went, that's not right. Right? So, all right, so I hope that this helped. Like I said, this is really what we're doing for Project 5. We will talk about that more next lecture.